Kenmore model 1755. It's 158.17550, I think. This one is just a single needle, size 12 needle, and normal standard polyester thread. I've done some twin needle embroidery as well today on here, but I just wanted to show how the machine does on its reverse stitches. Now, if you're doing embroidery on a vintage Kenmore, even if you have cleaned and oiled and freed it all up, there are sometimes your reverse mechanism inside for the reverse embroidery stretch stitches can sometimes actually freeze up on you, and when it does, it's a pain. You can clean and oil and clean and oil and clean and oil, it'll start sticking on you and it will mess up your embroidery. So sometimes what you may have to do is literally pop the top off your Kenmore. Some of them, I wouldn't want to do it on one that you have to keep unscrewing the top, but this kind you can. And down inside here, let me turn off that other light. So whoops, nope, I guess I better turn it back on. Anyway, down inside there, the reverse mechanism gets gummed up, and even if you really clean it good, you can end up, this piece right here will get where it will not reset back down, and when it doesn't, it won't allow these pieces to go against here, even though you clean every bit of these and oil them and clean and oil and clean and oil. So if you're having problems with that and you want to do some of the stretch stitch embroidery, sometimes you need to just get your hair dryer out and aim it down in here, and when the pieces snap in place like they're supposed to be, oil it while it's still warm, do your embroidery. It's not an ideal situation, but if you are having a problem with some of these, there's the 1753 and the 1755 both seem a little prone to this, because they've both been very well cleaned of the old oil and everything. But part of it is you've got pieces down inside here. You know, a lot of little cracks and crevices where oil, it's hard to get the oil and lubricant in there, and it's even harder to clean it out. And without having to disassemble the machine, sometimes you do have to just bite the bullet and use the hairdryer. But definitely make sure that it's cleaned and oiled first, because otherwise it'll freeze up on you in the middle of sewing. But anyway, that's how I did all of this embroidery this morning on this 1755 that I picked up and cleaned up and freed up the other day. This is for moo-moo dresses. I like to wear moo-moo dresses, and mine is, I wear them till they patch them and there's holes and you can see through it. And so I'm in desperate need of new moo-moo dresses, or fat dresses as I also call them. But your Kenmore is fantastic for doing this kind of embroidery. Twin needle embroidery. This one's a center needle position homing machine. Let's see, for this last pink one right there, which is a reverse stitch cam, it is cam 25. My setting for this machine was just this side of the buttonhole setting for your stitch length, and stitch width of 4, and of course cam setting for the cams to engage down here. But this is Becky Rice Ware, and that's at Kenmore 158.17750, and they can do the stretch stitch embroidery and the really decorative, beautiful stuff, but sometimes you might need a hairdryer to keep by your sewing machine to help free that up, and a flathead screwdriver is helpful too, because where I pointed down in there is also where you want to push on that. It's supposed to be a pivoting reverse mechanism, and it doesn't always pivot back like it should when it gets the old sticky oil in it, even if you clean the old sticky oil out as best as you can without dismantling the machines. I'm not into dismantling machines. I'm into cleaning them, fixing them, and using them. So anyway, Becky Rice Ware, vintage Kenmore, very good machine, and lots of fun with cam stitches. Always test your stitches on double thickness preferably interfaced. This isn't interfaced, but it worked pretty well. For stitch samples for every single stitch. Every time I changed a thread and changed a stitch, I did stitch samples before I did it on my project. These are single layers of fabric, but they are interfaced. And you sometimes also need to loosen your upper tension a little bit so that the stitches will pull through to the back side just a hair so that you don't get any of your bobbin stitches coming up through the top. But I am in love with these. I think they're beautiful, both winning and single needle.